What's up, beautiful people? Welcome to the Queen Effect podcast, where we discuss relatable situations that occur in our everyday lives. Our goal is to create a safe space where we can learn, teach, and uplift one another. I'm Shay Monet, the Golden Goddess.
It's your girl Coco.
And it's Madam IJ. Hey, beautiful people. Today we're going to be talking about navigating through life as a single parent. So you all may have recently tuned into our 3-part parenting series, and we just wanted to double back a little and talk about some of the struggles that we face as single mothers. A lot of times in parenting, we get lost and we end up losing our identity because naturally we put our children first, which we should do. So my question to you ladies is, how do you navigate as a single parent without losing your identity?
For me, it's very important that I still participate in the things that made me who I am. Yes, my child is my world. My child means everything to me. It's one of the most important jobs that God has blessed me with. However, I am way more than my son's mother. I'm me. I'm IJ. And so I just try to maintain the things that I like to do so that I don't lose myself. Because I'm not going to lie, in the beginning of motherhood, I lost myself. I was trying so hard to just do everything right and be present. And as time went by, I started to not be able to recognize who I was seeing in the mirror. And I didn't like that. So I had to find myself in that journey. And luckily, I have a great support system. They're not always there to help me, but when they are there, they definitely help me with my child. So I'm able to just go as I please when I can. So I think it's very important that you just continue to do the things that you were doing before you became a mom or a father, because it's so easy to get lost and your kids need you, but you need yourself as well.
I would say it's all about balance. You have to learn how to still have your life and be a parent to your child. So, yeah, I would say it's just balancing it out, knowing what to do for your children, but also being there for yourself, being more in tune with yourself. Don't lose who you are. You know, if you are in dance class, you continue to do dance. Or if you have a creative side and you want to get into, just continue to do those things. Your children are always going to be there. But who are you if you can't be there for yourself? You have to be strong for them in order to be there for yourself. You have to be strong for you as well.
I definitely think that continuing to do the things that you enjoy is important. Even if you don't have a support system, even if it's just you, just finding those ways to do that with yourself, with your kids. Do the things that's fun. Do the things that's going to make y'all happy and laugh. And don't feel bad for needing a break. Like, I know I used to feel so guilty when I felt burnt out or when I felt like I just did not want to be bothered. My thing is, I will lock myself in my room and I will listen to music that just really touches my soul, and I will sing, and I would not want to be bothered. And that was like my escape. That was my way of trying to balance and maintain who I am. And sometimes I used to feel bad. I used to feel like, these are my kids. I shouldn't feel frustrated. I shouldn't feel like I don't want to be bothered. But the reality of it is, we are human beings. And sometimes you need that quiet time and that space to be able to decompress. That way you can balance yourself out. So it's very important that you not only do the things that make you happy, but you do the things to clear your mental and make it to where you're happy and you're balanced and you're okay. Because yes, it's very true. If you're not good for yourself, you can't be good for anybody.
Yeah, I remember feeling extremely guilty in the beginning too, because I needed to breathe. It was like I was mommy 24/7. And I think that when my son got a little older and a little bit more independent, I was able to be like, okay, now what? Oh, I don't recognize myself. This is not who I usually am. So that's when I was able to, go back and rediscover who I am and who I'm becoming. It is very important that you do take time for yourself because you're going to go crazy. You need time for yourself. And my son understands that. I do have talks with my child, sometimes like, mommy just need a little break. And if you're able to have that type of communication with your child so they can understand, then you're able to just step away and just breathe for a second. So it's very important to have that line of communication with your kids.
I never really felt guilty, so I can't really relate to y'all on that. reason why I didn't feel guilty, because I did have a great support system. I had, my grandmother and Royal's father and his family really stepped up and helped me out. So at any given time when they were there, and that was my way to get out the house and just, have a good time and let loose for a little bit, I did, because it kept me sane. I did experience some things after having Royal. I went through postpartum. So that was an outlet for me to get out the house and just get my thoughts together when it came to my child. So I really never felt guilty when it comes to that.
For me, when I was referring to feeling guilty, it wasn't the fact that I didn't have a great support system. I did. It was the fact that I personally, I feel like I was going through separation anxiety. I didn't want to be away from my child. And I felt like me needing that time to be away from them, I felt like I was doing them a disservice. So I was taking it personally. That's why I lost myself, because I felt like my child needs me every second of the day. And even when I did have my breaks away from them, I'm thinking about, oh, I need to hurry and get home to them to do this and this and that. It's like I lost myself in the motherhood journey. So that's what I meant when I was saying that I felt guilty, stepping with my child. I had a great support system too. I still do. But now I don't feel guilty when I need my time. When mommy needs to go out and do her thing, I see you when I get back. Let me know how everything is. I still check in. He still checks in. But I had to learn that it's okay to take time for yourself. And it does make a huge difference when you do have a support system to help to take that burden off of you, because we can't always be there and at the same time be present for ourselves.
Yeah, I second that. Had a good support system to an extent. Well, always had a great support system, but my family was more like, if you're not going to work or going to school, you had these kids young, baby, your social life is going to be put on pause, which I needed because I know so many women who start having kids young and their parents are there for them every step of the way. And they're my age and they still like in these streets and the kids is just raising themselves. So it was nothing wrong with that. The guilt came in because kids don't, they understand to a certain extent. And when I say the guilt was coming in, I mean, my kids were like toddlers. So they didn't really have the ability to understand mommy needed me time. They felt as though like, well, or I don't know how they felt, but I felt like they felt, why is mommy shutting us out? We just want to be up under her. We just want to be around her. And patience is not my strong suit. So it's like once I get to a point to where like I need my space and I shut down, like I really have to close myself off. And I felt guilty because I knew that they didn't understand it. They just wanted to be loved and nurtured on. And I was at a point to where we're only human. We can only take on so much. So it's like I needed to decompress. Now I don't feel guilty at all. I got teenagers. I'm out and about when I want to be out and about. And when I need that quiet time, they do understand. So, yeah, the support system was definitely there.
Well, now that y'all mention it that way, I can relate to the fact that even though I didn't feel guilty when I did go out with my friends from time to time, it's like I always thought about my son, or like basing my schedule around him. Even though I had somebody to help me watch him, I would never just neglect him completely and not call and check up on my son. So, yeah, I too, when I go out, will be like, I wonder what he's doing. I wonder if he's okay. And I guess I see what you're saying as far as losing yourself in that aspect.
That's kind of not the same thing though. Naturally, as a parent, you're going to want to check in on your kids. But when we're talking about feeling guilty is like, oh, I feel bad because I'm actually enjoying myself without my kid, or I feel bad because I'm actually taking a step back. So I do think that that is a little different. What I want to know is, what is advice? Because we are three thriving, successful women. We have our businesses, we have things going on outside of this on top of our kids. And I hear a lot of people, they get discouraged once they begin to have kids. They feel like they cannot accomplish their dreams. They feel like life is over. What is some advice that you would give to those people that are out there and they just feel like, I can't do it because I got kids?
One thing that I will say is, do not compare yourself to those around you. As much as we love our kids, it can make your journey to accomplish certain things a little bit harder than your counterparts. I know for me, having my child as a single parent through med school really was a disadvantage, because it just took me a lot longer to get through, because I was raising a child by myself. Although I did have a help of a nanny, because my school was out of the country. So I relied on my nanny to help me. And that was during periods where I needed to study. So, what I would say is, again, do not compare yourself to those around you because it's going to look completely different and it shouldn't discourage you. It may take you a little longer, but as long as you keep doing it, you're going to get through it. You're going to see yourself through it. So don't give up, but do not compare yourself to those around you because that's going to really fuck you up at the end.
I would say for anyone feeling that way, you just got to have a goal, and life is going to be hard. Trials and tribulations come and go. Like, it's never going to stop. For me, I had to stop making excuses. That's my weakness. Like, oh, I can't do this. Oh, I got a child. I can't do this. I'm not the only woman with a child. It can be done. So it's going to be challenging. You have to just have balance in your life. You have to plan. You have to just keep your eyes on your goal and know that despite anything that comes about, you have this goal. So you might fall off track. It might not go the way you want it to go. But when you fall off, dust yourself off and get back up and get back on track and just keep striving for what you want. Because if you don't do it now, when are you going to do it? You're going to say, oh, I'll wait till they're older. And then the child gets older and you still have things that happen. Don't give up on your dream. Keep striving to get there despite the obstacles and tribulations you face. That's my advice.
Yeah, so kids, don't stop anything. As mentioned before, it may take you a little bit longer. Things may slow down, but your children are not going to be the ones to stop you or hold you up from accomplishing your dreams. Only you can do that. A lot of good advice was given. Definitely plan. Definitely be organized. There's a saying that says, when you know your why, you'll find your way. Let your kids be your why and your motivation. Let them be the ones that are pushing you forward and that are making you want to be great. For me, one of my babies to see a whole nother walk of life, wanted my babies to see just greatness and to just see me come from the bottom all the way up to the top and accomplish all of my dreams. That's what drives me, because when they're older they can look back and they can be like, you know what, I remember it was just mommy and she did X, Y, and Z and she never stopped and she kept going, she never gave up. It can be really discouraging, especially when you have multiple kids. It can, and they're active. It can be really, really discouraging, but just keep pushing and don't give up because you can do it. We are all on here a living testament that you can do it. So anybody who may feel like that, just pray and find your support system. Prayerfully, you have one, and lean on those people that support you so that you can make your dreams come true, because you absolutely can do it. You don't, kids ain't stopping no show. They might be slowing it down, but they ain't stopping nothing. Okay.
You mentioned something that was brought out to me, and that was continuing to strive. Kids don't stop nothing, they just slow it down. I want to say this as well. Being that you are a mother with multiple kids, like you said, they see your drive, they say, Mommy can do it. Most definitely, that's going to push them to do good too. And I think that's important. Once we find our identity for ourselves, it can kind of help our children form who they are based on our morals and our goals, to say, well, mommy did this, so I want to join this, or I want to do this, and take that same aspect of how you do things to follow in your footsteps to become a better person as well. So I just wanted to point that out there. Kudos to you, people with the multiple kids. I only have one, birthed one, got three, but I only have one that I'm responsible for. So I would say for me, it's not as hard as a mother with multiple kids. I commend you. I commend y'all, because it can
Thank
be tough.
you.
It can be tough. Another thing I want to mention with being a single parent that really has an effect on your kids when you're going through hard times is just keeping the positivity. That's very important. Even though you go through hard times and it's going to be a struggle there, you got to mask it for your kids. It's just a necessary thing. I mean, we're human. We go through our days where we don't want to be bothered. We might have some times we're not feeling it that day, but the communication with your kids and letting them know, like AJ said, what's going on with you, they should understand. But if they're at the age level where they don't understand, sometimes you have to put your feelings to the side to be there for them. I'm not saying neglect yourself, but kids pick up on our energy. So you don't never want your downside or your struggle to affect your child mentally, because it will. It will affect them in their studies. It would affect them in life. So that's a point I wanted to put out there.
I don't mask myself at all anymore around my child. I'm already masking myself when I'm out in the world, when I'm out presenting myself to his teachers, when I'm at work, when I'm already doing that when I step outside of my home so I can get things done. When I come home, that's my safe haven. Now, what I will do is, and I used to mask in front of my son too, but it's exhausting masking myself to everyone all the time when I'm going through something. And the only time that I have to now feel what I need to feel is when everyone's asleep. Now I'm by myself at night in my head crying by myself. No. So when I get home and I'm having one of those days, I have that talk with my son. My son completely understands, and he understands because we have those talks. And when I have these talks with him, it's not that, oh, I'm in a bad mood, so I'm going to take it out on you. No, it's I'm not in the best of mood. I really do not want to take it out on you. Please forgive me if I'm a little slow to my response, if I seem a little down. Mommy's going to be okay, but right now I'm not okay. And he completely understands that because we have those type of conversations. He gives me my space. He comes around and comfort me. He does what he needs to do for me when I'm going through what I'm going through. And I think that it's important to have those conversations with your kids because one day he's going to have his own partner. He's going to have his own children, and he needs to be able to be emotionally mature to understand that when people are going through something, how he needs to act around them. Like I said, I try my best not to take my anger out on him. And because I did have that talk with him, I'm even more intentional with the way I am around him because he's completely aware that I'm not in the best of moods. I know that I'm not in the best of moods. I know that it had nothing to do with my child, but I have to still be around you while I'm going through this. So let's just try to make this easy for the both of us while I navigate through this tough time. And we're able to do that.
Girl. So anybody who knows me knows like Shay's strong. Shay's the strong one. She's the strong one. But I am literally the same way. I mask certain things around my kids, but when it comes to my emotions, anybody who's like super close and in my inner circle, you're gonna see them emotions. I am very open and honest. I may not tell them, and maybe that's something I have to work on as a parent, just maybe explaining myself a little more because I do try to have conversations. But when I'm like down and I'm just like really emotional, I'll just be like, I'm not in a good mood and that's it. I usually don't feel like talking. You know what I'm saying? So we may not necessarily talk about it, but it's just like, y'all, this is how I'm feeling. It's not a good day. Just give me my space. I feel like when we mask for our kids, it puts on the narrative of you have to be strong all the time. And I am so tired of being strong. So I can relate to you 100%. We have to be strong in everything that we do. And I don't want my kids to grow up and feel like they have to be strong all the time. I want them to embrace their emotions. For those of you who are listening, it is okay to not be okay. We are not machines. We are human beings. Let that shit out. A lot of times people are fighting depression or they're angry or y'all have met people and it's like, dang, did you just wake up on the wrong side of the bed? Like you're just angry all the time? Yes, because they're masking and they feel like they have to be strong and they're not getting it out. They're not dealing with those emotions. So especially with dealing with our kids, we have to show them it's okay. Just because you're emotional, just because you're not masking, just because you let it out, it does not mean that you're weak. You're actually stronger for being able to face those emotions and those feelings and to handle them accordingly.
Yeah, because I was raised to be strong. I have been chosen by God Himself to be strong. My son looks at me as being strong, but he also knows that I'm not a robot. He knows that I'm human. I have my good days and he has his bad days, just like him. Hell. And it's just for my mental health, I have to. Now, I don't tell him exactly what's going on all the time. No, he doesn't need to know certain things, but he does have an idea of what the issue is without me going too in depth with the situation. And the reason why I have those conversations with my child is because my parents didn't have the conversation with me. A lot of times I didn't understand why they were upset. They were strong too, but when they're so strong and masking it, that mask comes off as aggression. Like, leave me alone. I'm, not right now. And it's like, what the hell's wrong with you? So I try to have those conversations with him so that way I can be honest with myself of how I'm feeling. And the way my son comforts me when I'm sad, like, it's not that I put him in a position where he has to be my be all. He has to take care of me. I'm sad. No, but he recognizes when mommy is like, I'm tired and I'm not in a good mood and I'm sad. And he just knows how to be there for his mom. And I love that for him because I would want him to be able to do that for himself, for his close friends, for his own family in the future. So
I guess the reason why I say I mask my emotions around my son is because he has it honest. He is such a empath and picks up on all feelings. So I do agree with you both as far as talking to your kids and really letting them know how you feel. My son, likewise, is always a good comforter to me. And he's always like, Mommy, are you okay? Are you okay? And I tell him all the time, I'm okay, even when I'm not okay, because I want him to focus on being a child. I guess the light that I was looking at is I don't want to put more on him than he can bear, just being 10 years old. There's certain levels to it. If you have little toddlers and preteens or teenagers going into young adulthood, it's certain things that you tell your child and certain things you don't. However, I do feel like communicating with your child 100% is best. Like AJ said, it's important because it's not like you don't love them. It's not like you don't want to be bothered with them, but we do have to be honest with them when we're not having a good day, because they would do the same with us. I know with my son, if he's not having a good day, he shuts down, he's quiet, and I ask him like, what's going on, what's wrong, and he won't communicate with me. Then that makes me think about, am I a good person to communicate with? So it's several times I have to sit down with him to say, you can tell mommy anything. And I try to do the same with him when he's asking me about my days. I try to just keep that open communication because I never want my son to feel like he can't come to me when he really needs to. And I try to do the same for him. When he really asks me how I'm feeling and he knows something wrong, sometimes you just got to let him know what it really is so they can understand and be like, okay, mommy. He'll say, I pray for you and I hope it gets better. So that is an important point y'all had mentioned that I do agree with.
yeah, and when I say that I don't mask around my child, that does not mean I tell him exactly what's going on. It's not his business. Now, me saying that I don't mask means that if I'm not in a good mood, if I'm sad, babe, mommy is not in a good mood right now. I am very sad. I might give him the most simplest explanation, but that does not mean that he knows in depth what it is, especially if it's not age appropriate, especially if nothing that he can do about it. But he needs to know that at this moment, mommy is not okay. I'm going to be okay, but right now I'm not okay. That's what I mean. I don't mean exposing our children to things that they don't need to be exposed to. I don't mean making our children feel like they have to be the ones to save the day, or now they have to step outside their roles as children and lead as a parent and parent me. I don't need that for my child. I would never need my child to parent me. I would never need my child to step out of his role as a child for the sake of me going through certain things in my life. But I'm not going to mask my emotions, and I'm not going to pretend that I'm strong all the time, because I'm already being strong when I step out into the world. And we all know how exhausting that shit is. So when I'm home, I need to be honest with myself because that helps me to heal. I already suppress a lot on a daily basis. Like, I need to get it out my system.
All right. So these are just some of the struggles that we face as single moms, the things that we encounter. We hope that we have been able to give you guys some good advice, and we'll talk to you guys next time.
We hope that you all have enjoyed today's episode. Thanks for tuning in to the Queen Effect podcast, and we will catch you on the next episode. Follow us on our social media platforms. You can find us on IG and Twitter under @TheQueenEffect, as well as Facebook and YouTube under The Queen Effect. If there's a specific topic you want us to cover or want to send in an anonymous question for our Dear Sis segment, email us at thequeeneffect@gmail.com.